white bully and his friends cornered a black teammate, their eyes burning with rage. Was this about basketball, or was it something deeper? Was this the moment he'd be beaten just for being better than them? But just as he puts his hands on him, something happened that left everyone in shock. Inside the locker room, Jalen Jones sat on the wooden bench, untying his sneakers. He could feel it. The stares, the whispers, the slow-burning hatred creeping through the air. He wasn't new to it. He'd been feeling it since the moment he made the varsity team. A black kid, the only black player in a mostly white team. His talent spoke louder than any words ever could. Fast on the court, sharp instincts, deadly jump shot. He was the best player they had. And that was exactly the problem. Jalen had taken someone's spot. Not just anyone's. Travis McKnight's. Travis had been the team's golden boy since freshman year. The coach's favorite. The school's pride. The one everyone expected to lead them to the state championships. But that changed when Jalen came along. He wasn't just good, he was better. And for Travis, losing his spot to a black kid, that was a wound his pride couldn't handle. Wait a second. Tell us where you're watching from in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more powerful stories like this. The tension had been building for weeks. Little things. Side eyes. Cold shoulders. Cheap shots during practice. But Jalen kept his head down. His dad always told him, let your game do the talking. But tonight, the game wasn't on the court. It was here. In the locker room. The locker room was nearly empty now. Most of the team had already left. Jalen finished tying his shoes, ready to leave. He grabbed his duffel bag. Then the door shut. Jalen turned. 4 figures stood there. Travis, his 2 best friends, Logan and Bryce, and another player, Kyle, hanging back like he wasn't sure if he wanted to be there. Jalen knew what this was. He had seen it in movies. He had heard stories. This was an ambush. Travis stepped forward, arms crossed, his jaw clenched. You know, Jones, I've been thinking. His voice was low, tight with anger. Jalen didn't respond. He just watched. Travis smirked. Ain't it funny how you just magically got my spot? Like I worked my ass off for years, and suddenly, coach brings in some streetball player to take what's mine. Logan snickered. Bryce cracked his knuckles. Kyle shuffled nervously. Jalen clenched his jaw. I earned my spot, Travis. You know that. Travis's smirk twisted. Nah, you stole it. Silence. Then Logan leaned in. He doesn't belong here, man. Bryce nodded. Coach only picked you because he wants the team to look good for recruiters. Affirmative action and all that. Jalen exhaled slowly. Here it was. The truth. They didn't see him as a teammate. They saw him as an intruder. Travis took another step forward. You think you're one of us? He scoffed. You don't belong here, Jones. This ain't your space. It never was. Jalen felt it boiling in his chest. That deep, burning anger. Not just at them. At all of it. At every time he walked into a room and felt like an outsider. At every time someone looked surprised when he spoke properly. At every joke, every stereotype, every whispered insult that he was expected to ignore. But before he could say a word, Travis grabbed his hoodie, yanked him forward. Hard. Everything froze for a second. Jalen locked eyes with him. Then, without thinking, without hesitating, he moved. With one smooth motion, he twisted his body, gripping Travis's wrist and breaking his hold. Before Travis could react, Jalen dropped his shoulder, spun behind him, and swept his leg out from under him. Boom. Travis hit the ground. Hard. The entire locker room went silent. Bryce and Logan stepped back, eyes wide. Kyle's mouth hung open. Travis groaned, rolling onto his side, clutching his back. He looked up at Jalen, pure shock in his eyes. He wasn't expecting that. He thought Jalen would fold, would back down, would take the hit like he was supposed to. But Jalen Jones wasn't built that way. He looked down at Travis, voice steady. Don't ever put your hands on me again. Travis's face twisted with rage, but there was something else in his eyes now. Fear. Jalen slung his bag over his shoulder and turned toward the door. As he passed Kyle, he muttered, "You should pick better friends." Then he walked out, leaving Travis on the floor, his whole world flipped upside down. And as Jalen stepped into the cool night air, he finally felt it. Not just victory. Freedom. The next day at school, the air was different. Jalen Jones could feel it the moment he walked through the halls. The stares, the murmurs, the tension that clung to every step he took. People knew. Word had spread. Somewhere between last night and this morning, the story of what happened in the locker room had leaked. Jalen didn't care. He walked with his head high, his backpack slung over one shoulder. If anything, he felt lighter. For the first time since making the team, he had stood his ground. And the best part, he wasn't scared. But he also wasn't stupid. He knew Travis McKnight wasn't the type to let something like this slide. And he was right. Lunch period. Jalen was walking to the cafeteria when he felt it. That same energy from the locker room. He turned the corner, and there they were, Travis, Logan, Bryce, and a few other guys from the team. A bigger group this time. Waiting. Jalen's jaw tightened, but he kept walking. Jones. He stopped. Travis stepped forward, a dark bruise forming on his elbow from last night's fall. His usual cocky grin was gone. In its place, pure rage. You think you're tough? Travis hissed. You think you can humiliate me and just walk around like you run this place? Jalen sighed. Man, I don't have time for this. Travis took another step. Yeah, well, you're gonna make time. Bryce cracked his knuckles. Ain't no coach or ref to save you now, Jones. Jalen's hands clenched into fists. His heart pounded. Not with fear, with adrenaline. He wasn't looking for a fight. But if they wanted one, he wouldn't back down. If you're enjoying this story and want to hear more, hit that subscribe button now. Don't miss out. Before anything could happen, a sharp voice cut through the tension. What the hell is going on here? The group turned. Mr. Patterson, the school principal. A tall, older black man with a commanding presence. His eyes swept over the scene, immediately reading the situation. Travis was good at playing innocent. Nothing, sir. Just talking. Patterson's eyes narrowed. He wasn't buying it. You think I don't know what's going on? He said, voice calm but heavy. You boys have been walking around this school like it belongs to you. But it doesn't. Travis opened his mouth, but Patterson wasn't finished. You think you're mad about losing your spot? Patterson took a step closer, eyes locked on Travis. You're not mad at Jalen. You're mad that he's better than you. You're mad that for once in your life, things didn't just go your way. Silence. Patterson shook his head. That ends today. The whole school heard about what happened next. Travis, Bryce, and Logan, suspended for a week. Jalen, free to go. But the real hit? The coach heard about it too. And that meant consequences. When Travis returned the next week, something was different. His jersey. He wasn't wearing his usual number. Because he wasn't a starter anymore. He had been officially benched. Jalen, he was the new face of the team. The irony was perfect. Travis had tried to prove that Jalen didn't belong. And in the process, he proved that he didn't. The next game, Jalen walked onto the court, shoulders back, head high. The crowd cheered. Not just for him. For what he represented. Not just talent. Change. As the game started, Jalen caught sight of Travis on the bench, arms crossed, face dark with anger. Karma had hit. And it hit hard. This is the ending Travis never saw coming. But Jalen? He just did what he always did. Let his game do the talking. If you loved this story, don't forget to subscribe for more powerful stories just like this one.